Thank you for attending this presentation on Thompson Equipment Company's Drainac 3B Automatic Online Freeness Analyzer. This presentation is concerned with the recommended annual service procedures. Okay, we have made a number of recommendations for servicing the Drainac. Some components are considered to be consumables and you should plan on replacing them annually. We have put together a service parts kit which consists of the parts that we typically recommend that need to be replaced. So we'll go through all of that. All right, starting off, the Drainac is the fastest online freeness analyzer in the world. You already knew that because you have one. It is also the simplest analyzer in the world. There are no moving parts. This makes the Drainac very easy to maintain. However, you have to maintain it. The system is low maintenance. It is not no maintenance. A failure to maintain the system properly will allow little problems to become very, very big problems. So, Drainac has been deployed in paper mills since the 80s. A number of components we've come to the conclusion that certain components are consumables and they need to be replaced on an annual basis. Certain applications or certain circumstances may require that you replace them more often. The items that need to be replaced on an annual basis, or you should plan to replace on an annual basis, include the high volume booster assembly, the quick disconnect fitting, the strainer fitting, the intake regulator assembly, and the water check valve. This is the high volume booster assembly. It is located on the back side of the riser, and this location right here. This is why you want to replace it on an annual basis. It is subjected to moist air, and it will develop over time a variety of internal corrosion. As you can expect, this corrosion will adversely impact the proper function of the booster. And of course, this is accelerated if the booster is flooded or if your air supply is wet. The booster is usually pretty easy to remove. However, if it's been a while since it's been removed, you may find it a little difficult to remove the mounting screws. When you replace it, I recommend that you put a little anti-seize on the screw threads. This will make replacing the booster in the future far easier for you. Having serviced a number of these things over time, I'm always losing and dropping these little brass ferrules. And so I recommend that you maintain a supply of them. They're 1/4-inch Parker brass tubing ferrules. And not only am I dropping them, but sometimes when you get them off, they just don't fit right anymore when you put them back in. So good idea to keep a supply of those on. All right, the quick disconnect fitting. There are actually a couple of them, but the primary one that we're concerned with is the QD fitting on the riser assembly itself. The left-hand picture is what it looks like when we ship it to you. The right-hand picture is what they typically look like when I go out on a service call. The problem with these is that there are some stainless steel bearings inside of them, and they won't get stiff and difficult to remove. If you keep them lubricated, that'll keep those stainless steel bearings operating properly. However, it's quite common that this needs to be replaced. So I recommend that you go ahead and replace that from time to time. Inside, or just above the quick disconnect fitting, is a strainer fitting. And inside of that is a little stainless steel cylindrical screen. Its intention is to catch any of the coarse debris that might be in the system. And if it's not kept clean over time, it can actually get plugged. So you may have to replace this from time to time. So I would recommend inspecting and replacing it, or at least cleaning it. I mentioned there's another one. There's a strainer fitting on the water supply as well. The QD fitting, we typically will provide a QD fitting on the bottom of the the water supply here. This customer has replaced it with a hard fitting. I'm not sure what you've done at your mill, but that would be where the other one would be. The intake regulator assembly. Okay, this is the heart and soul of the Drainac. If it is not working properly, your Drainac isn't working properly. You should plan to replace this annually at minimum. It may be necessary to replace it more often, particularly if you see evidence that the system has been flooded. If it's been flooded, you want to replace this, no questions asked. An indication that it has been flooded is this little loop of tubing, which is between the intake regulator on the right here and the solenoid valve on the left. If you see it dark gray or discolored black or anything of that nature, that's an indication you've had a flooding event, and you should go ahead and plan on replacing the intake regulator. You might also need to replace the solenoid valve and obviously the tubing. If it's just yellowed or ambered, I wouldn't be concerned about that. That's normal. The water check valve. The water check valve is intended to prevent stock from backflowing from underneath the screen back through the water system. It works pretty well, but if you have any debris in your water supply, it can sometimes not seal properly. This check valve will disassemble. It can be cleaned. However, I recommend that you probably plan on replacing it on a periodic basis, or if you happen to notice that it's leaking. When it does leak, this is what it looks like, or the consequences of it leaking. Here's the underscreen sprayer port, and you can see that a nice little stock plug has formed inside the tubing. Okay, we have put together an annual service parts kit that contains all of these components. It's part number F8118, P as in Paul. Please contact TECO for current pricing. So, the Drainac is the simplest analyzer available in the world today. As I mentioned, it is low maintenance, but it is not no maintenance. Certain key parts will need attention on a regular basis, and we recommend that you replace them annually for the best performance. If conditions merit, you may need to replace them more frequently. So, any questions, please contact us, Thompson Equipment Company, 504-833-6381. Our email address is sales@teco-inc.com, and our web address is www.teco-inc.com. Thanks very much for your attention, and please call us if you have any questions.